Hello.
Hey, Lynn. How's it going?
Good. Keeping busy.
Yep, me too.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Good evening, Tim Demers is here.
Hi, Tim.
Hey, Tim.
How is everyone?
Good.
Hey, Tim.
Lynn, who's co-hosting, or Tim, or you?
It'd be me.
All right. Jason, I made you co-host too, just in case I mess up.
Sounds good. You'd never do that.
Oh, yeah, you want to bet?
So before we get started, okay, I see. The share screen came up.
What's that?
At first, I didn't have the share screen, but it came up.
Okay.
Good evening, Wayne.
Good evening. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great. Chip, where are you?
My office,
Hmm,
Natick,
neat.
on my phone because my computer hasn't updated my emails yet
Cool.
from my phone over.
You're a busy guy.
Unfortunately, that's a true statement. A lot busier than I'd rather be.
Well, you're in the paper quite often.
That's for the ZBA stuff.
I
As
say
long as
good.
it's not the police log, I'm managing to avoid that.
You're in the paper quite. That's good for you. You're doing great.
All right. It's 7:01. We'll, meeting in order. Is there anyone who wishes to engage in public participation? Seeing none. The item number 2 is nomination and a vote for chairman. Are there any nominations?
Nominate Joe Bertrand.
Yeah, I'll second that
I
nomination.
second that.
All right.
Second and
Any other
third. baby.
nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor of me continuing as chairman? Is there any opposition besides myself?
That's what you said last time and you're still here,
Yeah,
Joe.
and it's still true. All right, hearing none. Do we have nominations for the secretary?
I'll nominate Chip.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any other nominations for secretary? Hearing none. If everyone agrees that Chip should be secretary, except for probably Chip, let me,
I accept the nomination.
all right. All right,
Congratulations.
now. Item number 3 for the public safety building. First is a review of the previous meeting minutes. Lynn, you want to put things up? Thank you.
You see it?
It's starting.
Okay.
There it is. I hear a
Yeah,
motion for approval of the
I
minutes.
move that we approve the April 28th PBC meeting minutes.
I will second.
Any discussion?
Was that our last meeting?
Yes,
It-
April 28th.
6 weeks? All right.
Any other discussion? Is there anybody opposed to the approving the meeting minutes? Hearing none, they're approved. Next is a review of monthly invoices, and boy, we have quite a few,
Oh, boy.
which is the reason why there hasn't been a meeting since April 28th. All right,
So I move that we approve HKT Architects invoice number 18022-023 dated 5/10/22 for the sum of $22,487.05.
I will second that.
any discussion?
It-
Did
It's
somebody?
just, well, what, yeah, okay, I'm just looking at what's on the screen. Chip, you're reading the first. We skipped over left field, you're
Left.
going right to HKT.
Only because that's what I saw. I'm on my phone, so
I got it,
I was
okay,
gonna
sorry.
come back. Doesn't really matter what order we do it in.
Okay,
So there's a motion for the HKT for the services of invoice dated May 10th, 2022. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yep.
Tim,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes,
John,
Yes.
Phil,
yes,
Mark,
Yes.
and Janine, are you on? Janine is not. Motion was approved. Invoice is approved.
I move that we approve HKT Architects invoice number 16022-023, amendment number 2 for the sum of $2,675.75.
I will second.
All right, this is for the FF&E evaluations. I requested hourly, a breakdown of the number. I received it this afternoon, and it appears to be appropriate. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes,
John,
Yes.
Phil,
yes,
and Mark.
Yes.
I move that we approve HKT Architects invoice number 17022-23 dated 6/14 for the sum of $23,425.27.
I will second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes. Sorry, I couldn't
Okay.
find my unmute button.
Motion carries. With a
I
pause.
move that we approve HKT Architect Amendment number 2, invoice dated, well, actually invoice number 170-22023 dated 6/14 for the sum of $6,160.
I will second.
Any discussion? Adam? Is Adam on?
Yes, I am, Chip. Joe.
That's all right.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about what that is. That's for geotechnical and geoenvironmental services from PowerCorp. And that value is trending well. We've tested soil, characterized soil, had to find 2 different facilities, get that soil to, and it's also some supervision of the micro peers. So that's a good value.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yep.
Tim,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
and Mark.
Yeah, you're still on mute, Mark.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
I'll figure it out one of these days.
Motion carries.
Yeah, Adam, can you explain this one to me?
Sure. If this actually goes back to when Shane was still with us, but we did not have geotechnical or geoenvironmental services in the original HKT proposal. Now, to export soil, it is a DEP requirement that you get that soil characterized. We did. It's really clean, less than RCS1 soil, but you still need to have an LSP test the soil, write a report, write an application to the accepting facility, et cetera, et cetera.
We had never paid this previously.
We have not. We have not.
This
It's all
is coming
DEP.
out of testing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. I move that we approve HKT invoice number 10-02 2023.1 dated 5/10 for the sum of $2,362.25.
All right, I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I move that we approve the invoice for left field, invoice number 19 dated 5/31/22 for the sum of $18,500.
I second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yep.
Tim,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
and Mark.
Yes.
I move that we
Motion
approve
carries. I'm
the
sorry.
invoice for Briggs. Actually, did I do bond yet? No.
Nah, we're not paying them. That's enough, right?
For bond building, invoice number 5 dated 5/31 for the sum of $82,099.61.
Where did you get that?
Yeah, it's
582.
Yeah.
$582,055.61.
Oh, is it 5?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a 500. Yeah, $500,000.
However, you really are.
Thought that was a misprint in front of it.
Come on, Chip.
All right, I move that we approve the amended amount.
Yeah, I'll second at the amended amount.
All right. Is there any discussion for the $582,055.61? Adam, we're percentage wise, we're where on it so far?
Well, we still have 8.2 million left, so we're
Yeah,
9.8 or 9% probably.
yeah, somewhere like that, I would think.
I don't have that off the top of my head, Joe.
Okay, that's all right.
There's a fair amount of work there. Demo's complete. We're starting to restore the space. Micro piers are going in, and we do have some stored material in that number. Given the times, we got stored material for steel. We had included in that. We had some roofing in there. We looked through it pretty carefully, and we have insurance for all of those things that are stored material. So it looks good to us.
Okay,
Thanks, Adam.
thanks,
It's
Adam.
15% expended.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, any further discussion? For the corrected amount, Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Chip,
Chip.
That was
John,
sound like a cough.
Yes.
Bill,
Yes,
Mark,
Yes.
motion carries. And the last for
I
Briggs
move to
Engineering,
approve Briggs Engineering invoice number 0221241 dated 5/28 for the sum of $1,676.25.
Second.
any discussion? Hearing none. Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yep.
Tim,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Phil,
yes.
and Mark.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item is a review of the construction change order number 4. Can we go to that, Lynn, if possible? I know it's not gonna be easy.
Is it shown?
Yep.
Yes. You want me to step through these?
Yeah, just quickly.
Sure. First one is a construction contingency draw for blank off panels in the storefront. It was some unbought scope. That is a draw on bonds construction contingency, not an owner's change. The next one, delete rooftop chiller pad. That is we have the ability to reuse a pad and thus save the cost of pouring that pad on the roof, a savings of $8,081.84 to the project.
Right.
Next one, Donegan Systems. It's an allowance drawdown. We had to draw down for weapons lockers. So those weapons lockers fit. And that's just the money move that for that. In a similar one, I don't know the difference with the allowance 05 overrun. I guess one is okay, I'm sorry. The top one reduces or zeroes out the allowance, and we went over by 2601. That's how that went.
Okay.
All right.
That was quite a need for the police department. They're currently using student lockers so I thought that was money well spent. The next one's saw cut grade beams below soil. It was an unforeseen condition that we encountered, some concrete grade beams that needed to be demoed out for the addition. And then the last one was a big one, slab infill. So we were not aware that we cut through a structural slab, and restoring that was quite an endeavor, but we were approximately $50,000 of an endeavor, but we were able to fund that within an allowance within bonds GMP, which is pretty fortunate. Last one is carpet change. It's for the chief's office. That was not in scope. We reviewed his space. It wasn't looking so good, so we got a change order to replace it.
All right, thank you, Adam. Any questions?
So the
I
total
move
of change
we
order
approve.
for,
I move that we approve the change order number 4 for the sum of
$5,085,
$5,085.
and I will second $5,085.
Any discussion? I would just like to point out that that was really, we're very fortunate to have that slab infill covered by
Yep.
some work that was supposedly to be done in the garage. So it really worked out good. Any further discussion? Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yep.
Tim,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next is a budget update.
Yes, we have committed 94% of the budget and expended 19%. Our construction contingencies, the construction contingency, we have 270,566 remaining, and the owner's contingency, we have 125,122 remaining, for a total of 395,688. And this includes all May commitments and expenditures to date.
Is there any questions on the budget?
Is this percentage in line with where we are with the project, I guess? Are we 19% done with the project?
I think what you have to look at is the percentage complete of construction, which is 15%.
Sorry, I can't see. Okay, 15. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Lynn,
Yes.
with this, the contingencies,
Mhm.
I know that like the slab infill was covered by some of the garage. Is there a possibility of more from that?
There is, Joe.
Um,
There is, Joe.
There is a GMP contingency within bonds fee or bonds cost, construction cost indicated here, but there are additional monies in their GMP contingency. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, so that would be in theirs. Is that correct?
Correct. It's not,
Okay.
this is outside of the construction.
All right, fine.
And Joe, I can add that we had a hold for repairs of concrete in the garage, about 92,000. We've spent about 50,000 with the structural fill infill, right? We have a repair to make inside, but we should get some additional savings out of that.
Okay.
And that's not represented.
You guys can hear me, right?
Numbers.
Did somebody ask a question there? I couldn't tell.
Hey, it's Dario. I called in too just because my microphone on my laptop's not working. So yeah. So yeah, we had 94 in that hold with the truncheon fill. That's about 45,000. So we have 45 remaining to do that one repair on the wall. So we should have a significant amount left in that hold.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dario.
You got
Now we know you're just a number. So.
it. Thanks.
All right, and speaking of Dario, how about a construction update, which is the next item?
The next item, sorry, is the dedication plaque.
It is? Oh,
Yes, we wanted to sneak this
Sorry.
in to have everybody take a look at it. It should be in your meeting packet, the plaque. And I think that we're asking you to review the plaque text. And I think that we need to get the official town logo image that we want to use from town hall so that that's accurate, as well as we need to talk about what the size of it is and some of these other considerations that are listed here. I'm sure you'll probably have others. So if everybody could provide their comments, we can mark it up and get it back to HKT to update.
The quick one is we are the permanent building committee.
Right. So that's what I was, I have that listed here, and I don't know if you want to identify the secretary since you voted. Also, I think if you're going to use middle initials, you should either use all middle initials
Right.
or not, or none.
Yeah, agreed.
And
Agreed.
then we don't have selectmen, it's a town council now.
Correct.
So those are a few of the things that I came up quickly with, but I think if you guys take a look at it, you might, there may be other comments that you want to make. And if you can get your comments to me, then I'll get them back to HKT and we can try to finalize this.
Okay, sounds good.
I have one more
Anybody
thing
have
before
any-
we go to Dario, and this is the
Well,
permanent.
wait a minute, Lynn, hold on. Does anybody off the top have any questions about the plaque?
Just
Do we,
the
do we
dedi-
want to decide about middle initials here?
I think you should all have middle initials.
Okay.
Yep.
You think with, okay, I was gonna say dedicated 2022, isn't it gonna be 23?
Yes. Anybody else? Okay. All right, Lynn, next.
Okay, sorry about that. And if you, when you look at it further, if you have any other comments, please let me know.
Okay.
Next is, we put together a schedule for upcoming permanent building committee meetings for the next year. And I think that we're gonna have, the ones shown in red are mostly just for the high school project. And these are additional meeting dates in order to get us to the deadline for the schematic design submission. But I just wanted everyone to be aware of it. Also in your meeting packet, there is a single page that you can print out and have that available so you know in advance when the meetings are coming up.
Helpful, thanks.
Okay.
Any questions or comments about the schedule? Okay.
So now we
Construction
can turn it over to Daria.
Yeah, so we have here a couple of the photos. I can just go one by one here, starting in the center.
Yeah.
So that's in the addition side of the project. We have the micro piles that are going in. There's 40 in the hole, and we completed today. So next steps in that area, we'll have we'll do some excavation and underground plumbing in that area, and then we'll start prepping for foundations and concrete. And then moving over to the vestibule, you can see the two photos on the right-hand side. We have the mat slab placed and structural steel that was installed this week. So the next step, sort of with the vestibule there, we'll have some prep for the roofing. There's some roof blocking that goes on, and then the roofing material will come on site and they'll install that roof. So that's sort of the next couple weeks over at the vestibule. And then on the inside of the building, you can see in the bottom left two photos here. We have started with the framing, and we're about 90% complete with the framing in that area now that the plumbing trench has been filled in. And MEP trades are on site, and they're working in this area. We are tracking a August 25th turnover date for the lobby and dispatch area. So that's generally where we're at. And then once we get the folks in the department to move down to the lobby, we'll start attacking the other phases once they were able to move down in the lobby there.
Great.
Any questions regarding construction update? Adam or Dario, have there been any issues regarding the temporary entrances yet?
Not that I'm aware of, Joe. We went through a lot of trouble signing them, and I'm not aware of any.
Okay. Thank
As
you.
of recent, the department's asked that we purchase a couple lights just for, the entrances are open 24/7, so
Right.
we got some more lighting in that area. So those will go up
Okay, great.
next week.
All right, Dario, the look ahead.
The photos I just explained were more or less the same. So just the inside of the building, framing is about 90%, and then MEP's on the way. And then on the outside, we'll be prepping for foundations and concrete in the next 2 weeks. It's more of the same with the photos on the previous slide.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, anybody?
So overall, are we on schedule, ahead of schedule, or behind schedule?
We, the trench on the inside of the building was a little bit of a hiccup, but we're certain we can move forward and gain back some of that time, but we're definitely on schedule tracking that in August date. for
Okay,
the lobby.
great.
Any other questions? Thank you. Lynn?
So that's it for the public safety building. So I'll switch over to the high school.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks,
And thank you.
Good night.
Thank you all.
thanks, Ariel. Or whatever your number is.
Thank you, guys.
All right, take care.
Can you see the high school on screen now?
We got
Yeah.
it, Lynn.
Awesome, great.
All right,
So,
the first thing is the approval of the meeting minutes for April 28th, 2022.
I will make a motion to approve the April 28th, 2022 meeting minutes.
I hear a second.
Second.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, is there any objection to approving the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Item number 2 in the high school is a review of the monthly invoices.
did we lose Chip?
I think we might have.
Hey,
We have invoice number 13 for.
You lost me. Sorry, I
22,000.
stepped out for a second.
All right. We're doing the invoices for the high school.
Okay. Are they being screen saved?
They are on there. Can you see them?
I can't.
Okay, Jason, you want to do it?
Yeah, I make a motion for the left field invoice number
They're
13
there.
dated 5/31/22 in the amount of $22,000 even.
Second that.
Any discussion?
Joe, it's Phil. Can I just make a general, I should have brought it up earlier. Can these summary sheets have a column showing the percentage left in the budget? Like Chip already asked the last one, like, there's no relevance to the balance after invoice when we don't know where the starting point is. It's just more out of curiosity, I think, to add a column to the right to put the percent. Can we just ask for that moving forward on any of these sort of sheets?
Is that all right, Lynn?
Yes,
Okay.
Thank you.
it's
Right.
also on the budget.
It's on the
statement.
budget, which we look at the end.
That's all right. We can put it on here too.
We can put it
It's
on.
It's
easy.
already there. Yeah. All right. Any other questions regarding the left field's invoice? Hearing none. Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yep,
Tim? All right, Chip,
Yes,
John,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
second call for Tim?
Yes.
All right.
Sorry
Motion
about that.
approved. That's all
I
right.
move that we approve SMMA a feasibility study for the invoice number 057032 dated 4/27. 71,500.
Second.
yeah, looks like the second invoice is the same invoice number. And it's a
Yes,
But
different
it's
date.
for environmental and site.
Right, it's a different propay code line or budget line.
Oh, okay. For the MSBA.
Yes,
All right, all right. Any other questions or discussion regarding the $71,500 for the April 27, 2022 invoice? Hearing none. Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yep,
Tim,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes,
John,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
I move that we approve environmental and site for SMMA invoice 0057032 dated 5/12, the sum of $1,460.25.
All right, I'll second.
Any discussion, any questions regarding this invoice? Hearing none. Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yep.
Jim,
Yes.
Skip,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bill,
yes,
Mark.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I move that we approve SMMA invoice number 0057249 dated 6/10 for the sum of $27,500.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yep.
Jim,
Yes.
Skip,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bill,
yes,
Mark.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item is a budget update.
Yes, and we have committed 82% of the budget and expended 46% to this point. We're well over halfway through the feasibility study and schematic design process, with only the next 5 months left to go to submission of schematic design. This is, if you look on here, you'll see the percentage of spent to date. Phil, I know that was your question, but I'll add that column to the invoice summary.
Any questions, comments on the budget update? Hearing none. All right, Lynn.
We'll turn it over to SMMA to do a quick presentation on the design update.
Hey all, Brian here. I'll give you a rundown of the meeting that occurred with the MSBA Facilities Assessment Group on June 1st. This is, we're going to share with you some of the slides that we presented and give basic summary of the feedback that we received from the subcommittee. This was done with 15 slides over the course of about 20 minutes, in which the team delivered what I think is a complete and compelling argument for the preferred alternative, meaning the new building construction on Beasley Oval, as submitted in the preferred schematic report. You've all been a part of that. Like any good story, this was done in basically in 3 acts. So the first part here is where Dr. Lyons established the need, which is all about the next generation educational program. Not only what are the key components of the educational program, but also looking back at the existing facility and the ways in which that is inhibiting the inevitable transition to this next generation program. So that is sort of setting up the next set of images. Next slide, please, which is about the vision. And this is where Dr. Lyons handed it to myself, talking about the really fundamental diagram of the project, the goals that the project is seeking to achieve, not only educationally, but also in terms of the site and facility goals. And there are many. And we walked through the plans, we talked about adjacencies, we talked about all the ways that the project will support this next generation educational program. We looked at aspirations for how the building will function very differently from what the district has now, and also looking at the architectural opportunity for the project to be really a beacon for the community. And moving forward to the third stage, which is really about the critical details and sort of the how of the project, which was delivered by Lynn, having to do with I'm seeing blank on my screen. I think okay, back to,
Sorry.
this is the third part, which was about scope, cost, schedule. And there were really few comments and discussion about those elements, which I think it may mean that Lynn did a great job in terms of just laying out where we are in terms of the cost picture, how the project timeline will work, and there were no real sort of snags in terms of talking about scope of the project, things that might be beyond the MSBA guideline. Next slide, please. So that was this sort of picture that was presented. I think it was generally a very positive response to the presentation. The subcommittee was really pleased with the quality of the educational program. And I think kudos to Dr. Lyons and the whole staff that put that together. Amy and all of the department leaders and staff who contributed to that, because it was commented several times that it was really a good document, and we'll continue to use it throughout the project. They also praised, in particular, the discussion of the media center and the vision for the media center, how it's staffed, how it might be used. And there was a recommendation to actually share that segment of the report with the School Library Association. So it's really being looked at as kind of a new standard in terms of how that space can be envisioned. The other comments that we received in terms of the site design generally was well received, as was the civic gesture of the building architecturally. There were suggestions that we consider certain design aspects as we move into future phases. So these were, kind of helpful guidance, I would call them, regarding stormwater management, the ratio of permeable and impermeable surfaces, a consideration of the scale of the entry plaza, which I think we would agree is a bit overscaled now, just because we are not at the stage of looking at things in a very detailed way. But also things like having shelter drop off. The comments are very careful, I would say, in terms of making sure that we're thinking about folks like special needs students who are coming to the drop off and might need a sheltered area to get to the building. And also the fire department access issue around the building. We know that that is something we need to dig into right away in schematic design, because things are a bit tight. And then moving into the plans, the special education resources being distributed somewhat, sort of evenly throughout the plans rather than segregated or put in different areas. That was appreciated. Obviously, that needs a lot of feedback from the program directors in terms of where those spaces go on each plan, and we'll do that in schematic design. The concept of having an open dining commons, we have been showing a dining commons of double height. I believe that we are containing it pretty well in terms of the potential for noise and distractions to affect the edges of the space where it might be adjacent to classroom areas. So that is something we definitely will be attentive to, and in later stages we'll have consultants on board to help us study things like acoustics, room acoustics, and absorption of materials, and all those good things. The last comment here is about teacher planning space that was encouraged to be a little bit closer together. We had them at the ends of the academic wings. And if we were to bring them more to the center of the spoke, if you will, we might get a bit more interaction between disciplines. And so that was one of the comments from Terry Kwan, who is very attentive to the educational piece of all this. And so from here, there was not a lot of follow-up discussion on the scope, budget issues and things like that. So we believe this puts us in a good position. There was a lot of back and forth during the submission stage. So I think there's a lot of clarity in terms of the final version of the report that the board has in their hands. And so we look forward to a positive vote on June 22nd. And
Are there any questions?
I'm happy to go back.
Brian, there was no follow-up necessary for any of this before they vote?
That's correct. We've had follow-up via email and resubmission of documents that have been read, marked, revised, and resubmitted. So we believe that MSBA has all the information they need to make the decision.
Included in your meeting packet is the full presentation of the FAS subcommittee presentation that was made. Also with that is some of our responses, or all of our responses, back to MSBA on their review comments. So you have all of that in the meeting packet that you received. And it's all there, the files that you received are bookmarked, so you'd be able to open the bookmark and go straight to them so you can see them. Assuming a positive vote on June 22nd from the MSBA Board of Directors, we'll be moving into Module 4, which is the schematic design phase. The real purpose of the schematic design is to document in detail and really identify all the scope, the budget, and the schedule for the proposed project. Because as you know, after we make our schematic design submission, the scope of the project, the budget, and the schedule are all stand. And we have to live with the scope and budget that we develop for the remainder of the project. So this is a very important phase. Basically, the general contents of this will be taking the preferred option and really developing it into what the project will be, turn over all stones to try to find any issues with the preferred option. Also, at this point in time, we'll be looking, MSBA will be looking to us to give an overview of what our local process of outreach to the community is. This is going to be a key time where we need to get the information out to the project now that we know what the project's going to be. I just had a quick meeting today with an advocacy group that's getting started. And I'm happy to provide anybody information on the project that wants to get out and advocate for the project. So our role, the PBC and the project team's role, will be to provide information for the project during this phase. We can't advocate for or against, but we can help to provide information. So we'll be doing that during this phase of the project as well. This will be the phase where we finalize the total project budget. You've seen where we are currently with cost, and we'll be making sure during this phase that those costs will stand for the remainder of the project. This is the phase that we select the construction delivery method. You guys have already done that. We did that in advance, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later in this meeting about where we stand with the construction management risk process. And again, included in the schematic design submission will be all of these changes that we made after the submission of the preferred schematic report. Part of this schematic design submission too is a separate submittal that is made to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and it's on the special education program. We make a separate submission to them and they approve it. The intent of this is to make sure that the special education spaces are integrated throughout the school and are dispersed throughout the school so that the special education population is integrated within the fabric of the high school. So that's just a little overview of what's coming up in the schematic design phase. There is a module guideline on the MSBA website, which I gave the link to. I'm happy to provide a PDF of the document if anybody's interested, but it's probably just as easy to link onto the website and go take a look at it. Wayne, I see your
Wayne,
hand
you have it?
raised.
Yeah, Wayne.
Yes, hi, thank you. Quick question. And I kind of wish we would meet more often, or maybe in person. This goes back a while. Maybe in, I don't know, several weeks ago, it was in the paper, and you're trying to be aware of the issues in the paper about items approved for this project over and above MSBA regulations, other than custodial. Am I way off base there? Was that not a fact, or is that a fact? Could that be a fact? Items approved by who over and above MSBA regulations? Is that possible?
So MSBA puts out a general guideline for spaces within a school, a high school, elementary, depending on which type of school it is. However, their guidelines focus predominantly on educational spaces. And it is not all inclusive of the spaces that a school would generally have. To my knowledge, I don't know of any schools that have built a school strictly to MSBA space guidelines. But it's a guideline that indicates what MSBA's participation in square footage will be. And I think maybe Brian or Helen can add a little bit more color to that, but.
So who would approve that?
What do you mean? We already.
Wayne, we've discussed this meeting
No,
after.
I
meeting
understand,
after meeting.
I understand that, I understand that. But being a taxpayer, if items are being approved over and above MSBA regulations, I didn't vote on it. I don't even have a vote.
Nothing has been. It goes when we go to ask for funding.
Yeah, it goes to town. It goes to town meeting and to a vote by the public. And it's not regulations, it's guidelines.
I know when I was in North Reading, and items that had to be over and above that the town would pay for would be a treatment plant, which we don't need, an administrative building, which they wanted and they paid for. But as far as the other regulations, the size of the gym, the size of the classrooms, the size of the custodial areas, the storage areas, on and on and on. It was kind of all within MSBA regulations. I don't remember voting on anything going over and above MSB. Maybe I'm wrong.
I believe that you are.
Yeah, you are.
You voted on the square footage within the space summary, but the space summary is not inclusive of all spaces required in a school. What MSBA does is try to level the playing field in terms of square footages that all schools will have, and that's what they will participate in. But there are additional spaces within a school that are not included in MSBA's guidelines.
Okay.
All right. Are there any other questions? Yep. So, hold on a second. Phil, you had a question.
Yeah. I'm sure left field already probably has something getting worked up, but I believe we need like a quick matrix that shows what MSBA covers, what we have included, and the reason why we are over. Because Wayne's comment, I think, an article was written in the paper, was published on a Facebook group, and most of the public's comments to that article had to do with why are we going above and beyond? Like no one really understands the reasons, you know, of what Lynn just explained, you know, that MSBA is very strict, you know, regulations on how many classrooms or the size of the gym or, you know, and like just something simple that could go on the website that we as a committee, and I don't think it's an advocacy, it's information, right? And so
Right.
I think that would be a very important document to get out as soon as it's appropriate to do so, as soon as we have the final info to explain what's different and why we're proposing that as part of the project.
We had in a very general way on the, I think, public forum number 6, where we explained that we were 49,000 square feet over the guidelines. And we tried to show them exactly what those, you know, what that square footage was dedicated to. But I think you're right. We can list it out a little bit clearer and maybe post it on the website.
Yeah, I think it's time to maybe develop a project facts, you know, list of, you know, questions are going to start to arise. And thanks for letting us know about that article. I mean, yes, we should be aware of it and starting to make sure we're all, you know, responding in the same way, right? When you see your neighbors. And I want to underline, you know, Lynn has said, let's not use the word regulations. They are guidelines, and they are guidelines that allow MSBA to be fair to communities and spread the wealth throughout the Commonwealth, right? So guidelines, let's not use regulations.
And I was told by the advocacy group today that they had about 20 plus questions. So they're going to send them in to us. We're going to respond to them. We'll share our responses before we publicize them with the PBC, just so that we're all on the same page with the responses. And we will also add that to the frequently asked questions tab on the website that we have.
Lynn, do we know who the advocacy group is? Who's heading it?
Mike Scolo and Andy Bray is who I spoke with today. But they mentioned a couple of other people that were a part of it. It's a lot of the old galvanized people that are coming back together to help push forward the high school.
That's good, because they've done it before, so they know what
They've
they're
done
doing.
it before, and they started talking about some of the things that worked for the galvanized advocacy group. And I think they're just in the initial stages of getting together. So I told them I'd be happy to provide any information they needed.
Yeah, it's great that they're finally doing this. We've talked about it forever.
Yeah. John, you had your hand?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing that Chip just asked, and so that's great information to have. And I think on going back to Wayne's point too, I think a little bit will be helped by that. You know, if we have the matrix or the sort of the FAQs about the funding of MSBA, because I think the article that I believe is what, you know, he's probably referencing a lot there is it's the fact that MSBA doesn't pay for 100% of everything, right? And some people don't understand that. And I think even that is still a confusing thing to the public in some ways. So any way to just be as clear as we can for, you know, the layperson on what these percentages mean and all that will help. You know, it'll help the advocacy group, and it'll help, you know, just the general public as we move forward. So.
Yeah, the other thing that you'll find as we move forward is that most of what you read on social media will be inaccurate and incorrect.
Yeah.
Brian, you had your hand up?
It might be a good topic for the next community forum, but in the meantime, there is in the FAS package a slide that summarizes the spaces that exceed MSBA guideline for anyone who's not familiar with it. And there are very, very brief descriptions of what the cause of the overage is for each one. but we, I think, can do a better job of elaborating what those things are.
Also, the preferred schematic report and our responses to MSBA on that report are being posted to the project website as well. So we have a lot of information on the project website, and we really need to get it out there that we have that, and a lot of the information is available to the public.
Tim Baker, you had your hand up.
We can't hear you, Tim. I still can't hear you. Are you there?
All right, we'll come back to him.
Okay.
All right.
You hear me
I
now?
wanted to-
Yes.
there you
I
are,
can hear
Tim.
you.
Okay. Somehow I got switched off to an external microphone that I don't have. So just following up on what Brian said, the slide he's referring to is page 38 in the packet. That just so it's 53 pages, so I just wanted to make it easier for people to find it.
Okay. Is there any other questions?
I just wanted to say, when we go into this next phase, to get the cost estimates right is very important. I mean, I'm in wastewater, and it's apples and oranges with schools, but we're having projects that are bidding 25 to 40% over the engineer's estimate right now. So just something to keep in mind as we go forward. It's just
So
crazy out
Mark,
there.
that's one reason why we are looking to bring the CM on earlier. That we will have our estimator, the SMMA estimator, and the construction manager estimating. So that's one thing that's proved helpful during this market volatility phase we're in, is having 3 estimators estimate and have discussions on where the cost should be. Because you're right, we have a tough task ahead of us to establish a budget that's going to hold for the next few years until construction starts.
I have to go do.
Hello?
Okay.
I wanted to just reiterate something that Lynn said. It is very important that we, as the members of the Permanent Building Committee, cannot advocate for the project. We had this issue at with the Galvin, and one of the members of the Permanent Building Committee was adamant that we take a vote, stand, and put an ad in, and there's all kinds of things. We can't do that. We are here just to provide the facts. And I think it's very important that everybody should understand that you can obviously do it as an individual, but not as a member of the committee. All right, Lynn?
Okay. Next, we want to tell you where we are with the procurement of the construction manager. Tim, do you want to talk about this section?
So procurement of the construction manager is a kind of 2-step process. First is qualifications. You rank the firms on qualifications, and then you interview the qualified firms, and then you move on to the proposal phase and interviews before selection. So we just received, they're called statements of qualifications, SOQs, which are the first part of the process. We received 5 SOQs from Bond Construction, Consigli, Shawmut Design and Construction, Skanska, and Suffolk. So basically, next steps are we're going to actually tonight vote to approve the CM selection subcommittee members, which will be made up of 5 individuals, 2 from the Permanent Building Committee, 1 from the school department, most likely Doug Lyons, 1 member from SMMA, and 1 from left field. And then they will meet next week, or hopefully next week, to decide which firms will move into the next phase. And then we will issue a request for proposals, and then we will conduct interviews after that.
I'd like to just comment is, once we get to the interview process, we're going to record them and make sure every member of the Permanent Building Committee can review the interviews. As chairman, as far as the Permanent Building Committee, I would like myself and Chip to be the two members to go to take care of the first part here with the statement of qualifications, to act as the subcommittee members for the permanent building committee. Lynn, do we need a vote on that?
We do.
Are there any questions or comments regarding this before someone makes a motion to vote on this selection?
Yeah, I mean, Joe, I think just for people that haven't been through this yet, this is just on the qualifications. It's very much the company meets qualification, doesn't meet qualification. So it's not a big deal. And quite frankly, with the 5 that we got, they're all going to meet it. So
right.
We were the reps for the last time too.
So we will make the statements of qualifications available to all of the PBC members that can go on and take a look at it. And I would encourage them, if they have any comments, or to give them to both Joe and Chip to bring forward during the evaluation of qualifications.
So we're going to need a motion to, Lynn, how about for the other members? We can't vote for them.
No, you just vote for the members that you're going to have from
Okay.
the PBC.
Can I have a motion for that? Anybody?
I move to nominate Joe and Chip to be the members of the permanent building committee on the construction management selection committee.
Second.
Any questions? Any discussion? Hearing none. Tom?
Yes.
Jason?
Yep.
Tim?
Yes.
Chip? All right, John?
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
And Mark?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Like I say, the next step is as Chip indicated, all 5 of these companies are probably going to qualify, and we're probably going to move them on to interview. When we get to the interview, get the entire permanent building committee of some other individuals who vote on the ultimate selection of the CM at risk. As indicated in our chart, in the town charter and bylaws. All right, Lynn, the next. Is that
Next
it?
is a schedule of this first part, which is the RFQ and statements of qualifications process. We again are hoping to meet sometime next week with the selection committee to determine the pre-qualified firms. And then I'll let Tim talk a little bit more about what's going to happen after we qualify the CMs.
And basically, we notify the firms of that they've been pre-qualified, and we will issue them the request for proposals. They get 2 weeks to finalize their proposals and then submit them again to us. We will review them and then schedule interview times. And as Joe said, we will be recording them for anyone to see. I'm going to send out the separate note. I'm going to send out the statements of qualifications to the committee following this meeting. And after we have the interviews, they rank the firms by their presentations and proposals. Then we do a second ranking after we review their pre-construction fee. And then the members will bring back the rankings to the permanent building committee with a recommendation to approve their first choice.
Okay.
So as Joe said, the PBC will vote on officially confirming the selection. The subcommittee just makes a recommendation.
Any questions regarding the process? Hearing none. Lynn?
Again, this is just a quick overview of the milestones coming up for schematic design. The schematic design processes will begin immediately after the June 22nd MSBA board meeting and go through October 27th, where we'll have to submit the schematic design for MSBA. And that will be in anticipation of the MSBA Board of Directors meeting on December 21st. So we're still targeting January 2023 for a town meeting and ballot vote. That translates into, we just started looking at what all the meetings that we would need in order to accomplish that timeline. And we're looking for a few different things. We're looking to have community forums in August and September and October before we make our submission. And then I've also populated all of the building committee meetings that we had on the calendar there, but we'll be filling in some of the tasks in developing some of the work in the leadership group meetings that you see here. Again, this is a quick outline. Currently, we have probably a couple of meetings to finalize the entire process, but right now I currently have information going to the estimators at the early September with getting estimates back by the end of September so that we have time to reconcile those and get them in front of the PBC early October. And we have to provide a project budget to MSBA 2 weeks before we make our schematic design submission. So this has all been laid out so that we can make that project notification of the budget to MSBA by October 13th. So again, we'll start focusing in on these and over the next couple of months in our leadership group meetings, but this is a first stab at the outline of what it's going to take to get us to schematic design. And you have this in your meeting packet as well. Again, we'll start filling in more detail over the next couple of weeks.
Any questions or comments?
Lynn, can you hear me? Am I
Yes.
unmuted? Okay.
I can hear.
For the, if we meet next week for qualifications, when are we hoping to have a developer on board, a contractor, CM at risk?
The intent of
What's our goal for that?
So right now we are hoping to have the PBC vote to approve the CM at the July 21st meeting of the PBC.
Okay, so that means we need to, that's on the July 21st. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. And are you thinking that this will be 2 nights of meetings or 1? Interviews.
Interviews, the only time that you can shortlist is at this qualification phase, if we come up with criteria for who we want as a CM for our project and develop that criteria. Even though all of these firms are qualified to build a school, there may be some that may not be fits for our project based on the evaluation criteria that we have. So you can shortlist them. If you end up shortlisting them, it could be 3 or 4. If you take them all 5, it would probably, if it's all 5, it's probably 2 days. If it's 3 or 4, you might could get it done in a day.
Okay.
Once you
Only
invite
Chip's
them
only
into
available. Sorry, Lynn, go ahead.
once you invite them into the proposal phase, you have to interview everyone you invite into the proposal.
yeah, I will see after the qualification list, but with these 5 firms, it's tough for me to think we could find some criteria that would put somebody out that wouldn't object to that
Right.
or have a
Well,
problem with it. So, no, I know. I'm
we
just
do have
foreseeing
an, yeah, we do have an evaluation matrix that we'll fill out as we evaluate them. And, you know, once we fill out the matrix, then we'll score them across the bottom. So, it'll be, I mean, it's a pretty prescribed process, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that before.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or discussion regarding this process and the schedule?
I have a question that's not related to the construction manager. It's just quick record keeping. Is Raymond's iPad, is that Ray Thompson for the participants? Does anyone know?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
And then I just included the permanent building committee meeting schedule again. I know you saw it all in when we were discussing the public safety building, but one last time. Again, you can print this out and keep it handy. We're going to have quite a number of meetings coming up in the next few months, but then it should level off to being once a month. And that's it.
All right, is there anyone have any questions, comments on anything regarding the high school project?
I do, very brief. I heard through the grapevine that the science department, you might end up hearing it through other channels. They might be looking for gas service to the labs for like Bunsen burners and stuff, but just wanted to put that on your radar. So.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, it's item number 5, the matter is not anticipated for the agenda. Does anybody have any questions, comments on any of the projects? I can give you a very quick update on the Greenwood roof project. MSBA is still not finalized the project, closing it out. It should be done by now, but it isn't. That's all I can tell you. Anybody have?
The only other one out there, Joe, is DPW. Should we just let it fly, or should we try to reach out to Joe and Conway and find out what's going on? I feel like they're just floundering on this.
I'd be happy to reach out to them. I would agree to you. I haven't heard anything. Phil, did you have something?
Well, yeah, I was just gonna raise something for the high school. We got to make sure that the Beasley has lights. And some of I know we're in concept, but I haven't seen any light poles. So I just want to make sure the field currently is lit. And so I would expect that we would want to keep that the case. And then the high school right now is a hub for loading dock activity. A lot of food goes in and out to other schools in the system. So it's a busy loading dock. So just as a point of note and looking at the space related to all that, and I know we're probably not in tree view yet, but I just throwing that out there as a consideration when you're thinking about fire department access is we need good access to that loading dock. It can't be a tight spot, and where it is in that back corner, I do worry about that. So the lights and the loading dock are my 2 comments.
All right, thank you. Regarding the DPW chip, I'll contact Joe Conway to see where we're at. Okay.
Yeah, and Joe, if you think that a subcommittee or something to meet informally with him to figure it all out,
yeah,
would make sense, I'm happy to do that with anybody that's interested.
All right. Well, I'll see if that's something that he's interested in as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
Sure.
good. Anybody else? Anything else? All right. How about
Going once, going twice, I move that we adjourn.
And Let's hope the Celtics pull it off. That's the other motion. All right.
Hopefully they hear.
All in favor of the Celtics winning and adjourning, click leave meeting. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Good
Have a
night.
good night.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thanks a lot.